Welcome to NarrativeNook audio tales where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Juliana's terror and shock outweighed the pain in her cheek. Her eyes showed fear as she spoke. "No, I'm her sister. She misunderstood a lot of things. Some were done by my mother, not me. Lucian, please don't misunderstand me." She was aware that Roxanne had the support of Lucian, so confronting Roxanne head-on would only lead to humiliation. Thus, she hoped that Lucian would spare her if she sounded aggrieved. Lucian's face darkened when he heard her pleas, for he found her remark grating to his ears. "Who are you to address me by my name? We're not related in any way. My wife has never acknowledged you as her sister," he declared. Roxanne was similarly appalled by Juliana's shameless behavior, and anger boiled within her as she snarled, "Listen, Juliana. Even if we share the same last name, I don't have a sister like you. If you keep talking nonsense, I'll tear your mouth apart." The ingratiating smile on Juliana's lips froze. Countless thoughts raced through her mind, but eventually, she clenched her jaw and caved in. "Fine. I won't call you by your name, then. Mr. and Mrs. Farwell, are you planning on beating me to death in public?" Lucian was surprised to see how fast her attitude changed. "Beat you to death? You don't deserve my time. You'd better stop scheming against my wife, or I'll make sure your life becomes a living hell," Lucian warned, so annoyed that he almost felt like laughing. He then shot Roxanne a reassuring look. After thinking it through, Roxanne knew that it was pointless to slap someone like Juliana. It was not like a few slaps could knock any sense into her. Her fury slowly faded into thin air. A hint of arrogance flashed across her gaze as she gave a dismissive wave. "You may scram now, Juliana." That was the most humiliating moment in Juliana's life, ever. She was consumed by such intense fury that her heart was wrenching with anger. Gritting her teeth, she wanted nothing more than to tear Roxanne into pieces. However, her last bit of rationality urged her to leave. Staying meant enduring more of Roxanne's slaps. In the end, she shot Roxanne a vicious glare and spun on her heels to hasten away. "Damn it, damn it, damn it. Roxanne, I won't forget this. I swear I'll make you experience endless humiliation and anguish." After regaining her composure, Roxanne realized her adrenaline level had returned to normal, causing her to feel drained all of a sudden. Seeing that, Lucian grabbed her arm so she could lean on him for support. "Are you okay?" Roxanne nodded and flashed a satisfied grin. "I'm sorry for losing my temper. When I saw Juliana, all I could think about was getting revenge." "I understand. You don't have to explain anything," said Lucian, silently making up his mind. The security guards of the hotel returned to their positions after Roxanne got into the car, and the guests who were hoping to witness the unfolding drama were disappointed. When Lucian drove Roxanne home, the children were there too. Leaving Roxanne to spend time with the kids, he entered his study to give Caden a call. Lucian issued a cold command: "Listen carefully. Use whatever means necessary to ensure that Juliana Jarvis never sets foot in Horrington again." Caden hadn't heard his employer speak with such seriousness in a while, so he responded promptly, "Understood. I'll take care of it immediately." After the call ended, Lucian emerged from his study composedly and joined Roxanne in playing with the children. As night descended, Juliana stepped out of the clinic and caressed her swollen cheek. The memory of the earlier events flooded her mind, causing her to tremble with rage. Although Juliana had registered her marriage with David, a wealthy businessman, they were only husband and wife in name, as he refused to come to Horrington. As such, she was busy instigating David to come to Horrington to invest in a new company here. Juliana was under the impression that establishing a company like Flora Verba Group would be easy, as the company seemed to be doing well under Roxanne's lead. She had even started reaching out to some of the researchers from Roxanne's research institute, thinking that she could persuade them to join her new company with better compensation. Juliana believed that as long as she offered enough money, these researchers would abandon their current jobs and bring their technology to her company. Back at the five-star hotel, She strode to the front desk to order dinner to be sent to her room. To her shock, the receptionist gave her an apologetic smile. Greetings, Ms. Jarvis. I'm sorry to inform you that you won't be able to continue your stay at our hotel due to some special reasons. Please pack your luggage and check out as soon as possible." Juliana was outraged after the initial shock wore off. What do you mean? I have several thousand credits on my membership card. Why am I being denied a stay here? I can't believe you're trying to kick me, a VVIP, out. I demand to speak to your manager." No matter how furious Juliana was, the receptionist remained unfazed and apologized again, her face devoid of expression. In the end, 2 security guards came over, telling Juliana to pack her luggage. They also informed her that if she refused to do so, they would be happy to help her. Subsequently, the hotel manager came out and told her she would most probably be denied entry to every hotel in Horrington. Juliana was taken aback by the manager's words, feeling as if she had just been hit with a ton of bricks. Why is this happening? What right do you have to do this to me? I'm going to call the police." As she hollered, losing her temper. The hotel manager's gaze turned dark. Ms. Jarvis, I'll be blunt with you. You have been blacklisted because you offended someone you shouldn't have." Realization dawned on Juliana. It's all Lucian's fault. He must have pressured them to do so. Clenching her jaw, she packed up reluctantly and left the hotel with her luggage in humiliation. At a loss, Juliana dialed her wealthy husband's number in a panic, hoping he could help her out of the mess she had gotten herself into. Honey, I'm in a bit of trouble here. Can you see if there's any way you can help me out?" She asked with a hint of coyness. In the past, David would usually acquiesce to her requests whenever she used her coy charm on him. After all, he was an older man in his 50s who had a weakness for her flirting. To her surprise, David replied coldly, "Buy a plane ticket and leave Horrington tonight, or else our marriage will be over." Juliana gaped incredulously. Honey, what's wrong? Don't tell me." Despite being based in Girton, David was a powerful and wealthy figure with connections in China that he had been expanding in recent years. Juliana found it hard to believe that he stood no chance against Lucian. Who do you think you are, offending the Farwell family? Are you trying to drag me into your mess? I can give you all the money you want, but if you try to harm me, I'll dump you instantly. Your body is the only thing that matters to me, so don't think you're indispensable. If you refuse to return to Girton, you won't need to come back ever again. Keep the money I gave you." David wasn't naive. It dawned on him, albeit belatedly, that his new wife was nothing but trouble after receiving a call from the Farwell family. He was well aware that the Farwell family was a powerful entity not just in Horrington but beyond, and he was in no position to make enemies with them. After the call ended, Juliana stood on the bustling street, allowing the chilly breeze to bite at her skin. Despite the cold, she felt her blood boiling with fury. She felt as if she were about to explode with rage. Roxanne Jarvis, damn you. Just you wait. I won't forget how you humiliated me today. Calamity will certainly befall you and your children." Despite her reluctance, Juliana couldn't afford to lose David as he was her cash cow. She had no choice but to call her mother and inform her about the situation. Winnie was consumed with anger upon hearing about the situation and couldn't stop cursing Roxanne. Juliana, what should we do next? You should return to David's side. You're too easy to find here, and the Farwell family is a powerful enemy. I'm still here, and we'll find a chance to retaliate. There's no way we'd let this slide without putting up a fight. I'll make sure they get a taste of their own medicine when I have the chance to harm the 3 children. Winnie was currently basking in the luxurious life of owning 2 houses and dreaming of her prosperous future. Little did she know that Roxanne would stir up trouble at this very moment. Not only did Roxanne refuse to acknowledge their stepmother-stepdaughter relationship, but she even had the audacity to target Juliana, her precious daughter. Hence, Winnie would definitely avenge her daughter. Mom, I understand. I'll leave soon. When Yosef returns, Tell him to keep a low profile and not provoke Roxanne. She's out for blood and will target anyone she can. We'll have our chance for revenge later. And forget about that loser, Grant. Leave him." The mother and daughter duo acted as if they were never going to see each other again. Roxanne, on the other hand, knew nothing about their conversation. All she knew was that she was thoroughly disappointed in that family. She had found a new family, one that could serve as her safe harbor and her source of support. Lucian finally breathed a sigh of relief when Caden reported to him that Juliana had left Horrington that same night. That night, Roxanne's stomach churned violently. It was unclear whether it was due to her agitation earlier in the day that her stomach was acting up. She ran into the bathroom and started retching. Seeing how uncomfortable she was, Lucian patted her back gently and asked what she ate that day to cause an upset stomach. However, Roxanne lifted her head, her lips curling into a sweet smile. Lucian was stunned for a brief moment before he understood the meaning behind her smile. A look of surprise crossed his face. Really? Are you sure?" he asked urgently. Roxanne gave him the side eye. Don't forget that I'm a doctor. Take your own pulse and confirm it." Lucian could barely tamp down his excitement. Roxanne shook her head as she splashed water on her face. There's no point in doing that as it's too early to detect anything. But I'm pretty sure I'm pregnant. My period has been late for over 10 days. Besides, I ate the same food as you today. There's no reason for me to have a stomach bug when you're doing fine, as she calmly stated her judgment. Lucian's face lit up with a broad smile as he jumped up and down in joy, making a triumphant gesture with his hands. I'm so happy. This is great. Our baby is finally on the way. It took so long that I'm beginning to think something's wrong with me, he said half-jokingly. The next second, however, Lucian began worrying about Roxanne's busy schedule. He told her solemnly, "Once we confirm that you're indeed pregnant, you have to adjust your daily and work routine. I won't allow you to work too hard." Roxanne's eyes sparkled with joy as she obediently nodded. It was possible for her to relax for the time being as the Research Institute, hospital, and Flora Verba Group were all managed by capable individuals. "I should take the chance to give birth to a baby boy." "No, not a boy. A little girl would be better. Essie keeps saying she wants a baby sister and that she will be an amazing big sister." That night, the couple stayed up till the wee hours, excitedly chatting about their plans after the baby was born. The following morning, under Lucian's insistence, Roxanne relented and allowed him to drive her to the hospital. Madeline assumed that her superior was conducting a sudden inspection, so she politely invited both of them into her office. She gathered her recent work records in a neat stack and handed them to Roxanne. "Boss, here you go. You should consider raising my salary." Roxanne rolled her eyes before murmuring that she might be pregnant again. Madeline's jaw dropped wide open in shock, but she soon regained her composure and beamed in delight. I'm going to have another godchild." "That's great." She turned to Lucian and gave him the thumbs up. "Congratulations, Mr. Farwell." Pleased, Lucian smiled and bobbed his head gently. Roxanne pouted at his reaction. Why does he look so smug? "So you're saying that you came here early in the morning for a checkup to examine the baby's condition? Why would you come to the hospital? You can use a pregnancy test strip. It is inadvisable to use equipment to check your pregnancy since you have only just become pregnant," Madeline told them. Roxanne shot Lucian a pointed look. See, I told you so, didn't I? You didn't have to go to such lengths." Lucian could only listen to Madeline's advice as she was the hospital director. Soon, the pregnancy test strip showed that Roxanne was indeed pregnant. "Okay. Please take good care of my best friend, Mr. Farwell. If you're looking for advice on how to take care of her, you should make sure to attend the classes offered at the obstetrics and gynecology department every week. These classes will provide you with tips and advice on how to best care for pregnant women." Madeline promoted her hospital services. She was actually joking, but to her surprise, Lucian gave a solemn nod. Okay. Sign me up, Madeline. From this week onward, I'll attend the classes to learn how to be a good father, he promised. Are you sure? Madeline blinked. Roxanne nodded in all seriousness. I can vouch that he's telling the truth. You should charge him a high price for your services. Thus, Lucian signed up for the classes and was required to attend 2 30-minute sessions per week. After leaving the hospital, Lucian hopped into the car and began driving, his excitement palpable. He asked Roxanne if she'd like to visit the shopping mall with him, eager to begin purchasing items for their unborn child. Honey, you're already a father of 3. This isn't your first time. There's no need to be this excited, right? The man's reaction left Roxanne speechless, for she thought it wasn't necessary. Lucian disregarded her and muttered to himself, after buying new clothes, we must remember to launder them several times to ensure they are free from germs. Let's not forget to preserve a memento of the baby's footprint. Have you done that for Archie and Benny previously? Roxanne gave a helpless shrug. When they arrived home, Jonathan's car was already parked outside. They walked into the living room to see Jonathan boiling some water there. As usual, he was here to enjoy some coffee with Lucian. Jonathan, why are you free to pay us a visit today? I thought you were traveling. Lucian asked. It had been a while since they last saw each other, so Lucian noticed some changes in Jonathan. He appeared to be more at ease and more vivacious than usual. Lucian, Roxanne, where did you go? I let myself in since you weren't around. Jonathan greeted them with a smile. So you don't have to inform us in advance. You can come whenever you want. I have stashed some premium coffee beans that I want to share with you. Let's have a taste. With that, Lucian headed into the kitchen. The coffee beans had to be kept in a cooling place to prevent them from going bad. After some time, the entire living room was filled with a faint coffee fragrance. Even Roxanne couldn't help drinking 2 cups. The coffee left a pleasant aftertaste in her mouth. Lucian and Jonathan chatted idly, discussing many famous tourist spots and interesting cultural stories. Taking in Jonathan's current state, he seemed like a completely different person. Lucian, I've completely recovered, and I think it's time for me to return to work. That was a decision Jonathan made after thorough consideration. However, Lucian appeared unhurried after hearing that. He merely glanced at Jonathan and slowly lifted his cup to savor the coffee. Are you sure you're okay now? He asked calmly. Jonathan nodded, the look in his eyes calm and peaceful. Lucian, I used to think that I was pressured into doing my job, but now it seems that the business industry suits me well and is the only place where I shine. That was what Jonathan observed recently. He once thought everyone was more or less pressured into progressing in life by personal gains. However, ever since he became acquainted with Madeline, her many qualities influenced him. For Madeline, the responsibility of being the hospital's director was not just a profession, but more like a career she was passionate about. Subsequently, Jonathan suddenly came to the realization that the medicinal herbs business managed by his family could actually help millions of patients too. Those collaborations with Lucian also elevated the industry and provided many job opportunities. Following those revelations, Jonathan finally laid to rest the ghost of all his doubts and dejection that had been bothering him for the past 20 years. Taking in the determined look on Jonathan's face, Lucian was reminded of their younger days when they pursued their dreams with great motivation together. It's great that you have regained your confidence, Roxanne said with a smile. Here's what we'll do. James is currently managing Flora Verba Group, and everything is going well there. You'll be in charge of Snuggly. In due course, we'll turn Snuggly into the country's biggest children's clothing brand. Jonathan agreed to Lucian's plan without hesitation. They chatted for a while longer before Jonathan took his leave. Once he was gone, Roxanne immediately called her best friend to ask what exactly the latter had done to bring about such a drastic change in Jonathan. Roxanne's question left Madeline somewhat puzzled. What did I do? I didn't notice. I've been swamped, dealing with numerous patients from an accident in the past few days. I haven't been seeing Jonathan much lately." Roxanne was stumped and a little taken aback. She was under the impression that Madeline must have provided Jonathan with some kind of encouragement behind the scenes. If so, how far has your relationship with him progressed?" she asked Madeline in curiosity. Well, to be honest, there hasn't been much progress. We haven't even held hands," Madeline calmly explained. Then, she expressed her current state of mind. She believed in letting things happen naturally and didn't want to be too proactive or passive. I'll just go with the flow. I've stopped worrying about these things. Perhaps I don't carry enough weight in his heart. Speaking of which, Coralie came to the hospital recently to settle her previous medical expenses and asked me to return the money Jonathan had paid on her behalf. Madeline's tone carried a hint of fatigue. Roxanne could understand the helplessness of being caught in an awkward position. Not knowing how to console or comfort Madeline, Roxanne could only tell her to take good care of herself and not overwork. I got it. Bring the 3 kids over to my place when you're free. My mom won't stop talking about them. She learned many new dishes and wants the children to try them." Roxanne nodded and agreed. With Madeline always busy at work and Lorraine being a stranger in a strange land, it was natural for the latter to feel slightly lonely. Hence, Roxanne figured letting the children spend more time with Lorraine would be a good idea. When the children returned from school, Roxanne told them that their godmother wanted to see them and play with them. All 3 kids happily agreed and waited for their godmother to pick them up. 20 minutes later, Madeline arrived at the manor and brought the children away. Roxanne discussed with Lucian, planning to inform Elias and Sonia about her pregnancy. "Dad, Mom, Lucian and I have something to tell you," Roxanne said calmly to her parents-in-law. Upon hearing their daughter-in-law's solemn tone, the couple looked shocked, thinking something serious had happened. In their opinion, there wasn't much their son couldn't handle, so if Lucian and Roxanne needed their help, that matter must be pretty severe. Roxanne didn't realize that there was anything wrong with her tone either. Lucian, on the other hand, was all smiles when he looked at his parents upon entering the room. "Lucian, what happened?" Sonia asked anxiously. Lucian and Roxanne exchanged glances, their excitement barely concealed. They then quickly asked Sonia and Elias to sit down. "Dad, Mom, why are you so nervous?" "Roxanne and I want to tell you some great news." Lucian couldn't stop himself from grinning. Roxanne also noticed the tension in her parents-in-law's expressions and decided to cut to the chase. "Dad, Mom, our family may be welcoming a 4th child soon." "What? Really?" Elias and Sonia were both stunned for a moment before exchanging incredulous glances. Immediately afterward, they beamed from ear to ear in utter delight. "Roxanne, are you telling the truth? You're finally pregnant? This is such a pleasant surprise." Sonia couldn't help clapping her hands. Then, she stood up in enrapturement, walked over to Roxanne, and held the latter's hand. Elias was similarly overjoyed, scratching his head and asking, "That's great, so what should we do next?" "Sonia, you must start preparing nourishments for Roxanne." Sonia nodded vigorously. Absolutely. That is a must. Roxanne, hurry up and write down everything you want to eat and drink. I can make anything you want. I can learn even if I don't know how to make them." Lucian had anticipated his parents to react in that manner. "Dad, Mom, don't get too excited. I've already signed up for antenatal classes to learn how to take care of Roxanne during her pregnancy. Dad, you'll be in charge of the 3 children, while Mom will be responsible for the meals. Let's all be prepared to welcome the 4th child." Lucian was indeed the CEO of a large corporation, capable of even distributing household tasks reasonably and efficiently. Roxanne hadn't expected her 4th child to cause such a commotion in the family. She felt a surge of bliss in her heart. This 4th child is so much more blessed than his or her older siblings. With that in mind, She took the initiative to express her thoughts. Dad, Mom, Lucian, I appreciate all the effort you'll put in. However, there's something I want to remind everyone, including myself. We must make sure not to show favoritism toward this new addition to our family. We must treat all the children equally, not focusing too much on the fourth child and neglecting the other three. I think it's best not to make too much fuss regarding this pregnancy. Hearing their daughter-in-law's words, Elias and Sonia both nodded in agreement. Lucian was also startled, realizing that he could potentially make the mistake Roxanne mentioned. Hence, he reminded himself inwardly to treat each child fairly. During dinner, Madeline sent a video to Roxanne to inform the latter that the kids ate well. They all enjoyed the sumptuous meal very much. Madeline also reported what activities they had planned to do together. She was going to relax and play some mobile games with Archie and Benny. As she was so bad at gaming, she needed the two boys to guide her. Estella, on the other hand, would be learning how to make perfume sachets from Lorraine. This was something Estella enjoyed doing as well. You know what, Roxanne? Every time my mom sees these three kids, she'll start badgering me afterward. I have no choice but to bring them over to distract her from her anxiety, complained Madeline. Roxanne's three children were so outstanding that anyone who saw them would have the urge to snatch them away. Now, a fourth one was on the way. Madeline could already imagine how Lorraine was going to nag her about starting a family once Roxanne's fourth baby was here. If I still don't make progress with Jonathan, there's a big possibility that I'll be forced to go on blind dates, Madeline said helplessly. Though Roxanne wanted to comfort Madeline, she figured her words of consolation probably wouldn't mean much since this had happened a lot of times already. She could only chuckle and say, don't be so pessimistic about blind dates. Who knows? You might meet someone you like. That's enough. I'm going to play with Archie and Benny now. I'll send them back to you at around 9:30. After Madeline hung up, Roxanne suddenly recalled the past. Many people would probably feel envious of her life right now, but none of them knew how she managed through those 6 years in Epia. Just as she was deep in thought, Sonia's voice sounded from downstairs. Roxanne, come downstairs. I made some really nourishing mushroom soup for you. Roxanne snapped back to her senses and smiled. Okay. Coming. At the Xander residence, Madeline was having the time of her life beating her in-game enemies under Archie and Benny's guidance. The consecutive victories had her walking on air. Seriously, I always get put to rout when the two of you are not around to guide me. It's devastating. Madeline was deeply impressed with how well-rounded the two boys were. It was unbelievable how they excelled even in gaming at such a young age. With their speed and reflexes, they were more than capable to become pro gamers in the future. Just then, Madeline's enemy sent her a message. Jenny, did you get an expert gamer to help you today? How impressive. I told you last time that I could guide you, but it seems like you don't need it anymore. Jenny was Madeline's nickname in the game. After reading the message, she checked the nickname of the sender and found it a bit familiar. They seemed to have been matched against each other a few times before. The game would match players according to the location they picked, and Madeline usually chose the default, which was the city she was in. This meant that the player nicknamed Ocean Blue was also from Horrington. Madeline remembered that he was quite good at playing. In the few times that she played as his teammate, they had won the matches. Madeline responded, Thanks, Blue. I just play games from time to relax. I enjoy the process and don't really care about the results. The truth was, she'd get so pissed off whenever she lost that she would almost smash her phone into pieces. When Archie and Benny noticed Madeline lying so outrightly, they exchanged glances and giggled secretly. Ocean Blue immediately replied with an emoji with a mocking expression. He typed, Really? But I remember when you lost badly last time, you said you needed a mentor. Want to consider me? Seeing that Archie and Benny were also staring at the screen, Madeline let out a dry chuckle and waved her hands in denial. This guy must have a messed up memory. When did I ever say that? Madeline felt somewhat embarrassed to be exposed by this player in front of Archie and Benny. Wanting to put Ocean Blue in place, she taunted, "Blue, let's play a few more rounds. I'd like to see where you get that confidence of yours from. My godsons are with me today, so don't ever think of winning at all." Yet Ocean Blue only sent a series of mocking emojis in return, which infuriated Madeline. Nevertheless, he gladly accepted the challenge and changed the game format from 5 versus 5 to 3 versus 3. He also removed the teammates randomly assigned to him and asked 2 friends to help him instead. Benny swiftly looked into their opponents' details and found out which characters they each mastered. Archie, they're all skilled players, so it won't be as easy to beat them this time. We have to give it our all. Archie nodded firmly. Turning to Madeline, he reminded, Aunt Madeline, you should be careful from now on. Don't be reckless, and try not to get killed repeatedly. That'll affect our team's overall performance. Sure. I'll do whatever you say as long as we can defeat them. Madeline agreed readily. Soon, the battle began. The players from both teams utilized the best skills they had and launched the strongest attacks at each other. As Madeline concentrated on the game, she felt adrenaline surging through her body. Conversely, Archie and Benny appeared relaxed as usual, but they looked more focused than earlier. Retreat. Aunt Madeline, retreat first. Don't let them kill you, ordered Archie, the commander of the team. Benny was quick to act. Upon noticing that Madeline was having a hard time retreating and that her health points were dwindling, he stepped forward and repulsed the enemy in an instant. The match grew more and more intense. After being killed by Archie, Ocean Blue messaged, "Both of you are indeed skilled players, but you'll be bogged down by Jenny." Madeline almost exploded in rage at his words, but Archie comforted her right away. Don't mind him, Aunt Madeline. He's just trying to destroy our morale. He wants to disrupt our cooperation by distracting you." Benny bobbed his head in agreement. He also complimented Madeline and told her she was getting better at the game. Never in Madeline's dreams did she expect that she'd be so moved by the consolation between 2 little boys. All right, I'll do my best to cooperate with you guys. I'll keep my emotions in check." As Madeline calmed down and got herself together, she started to see improvements in her skills. To her delight, they won the first round. The second round also ended in their favor, though it was a close call as their enemy's teamwork was getting more efficient. In the third round, Madeline gradually got the hang of it and chose the supporting role in the game to assist her 2 godsons. This setup was surprisingly effective. Unable to withstand Archie's and Benny's rapid and overwhelming attacks, the opponents were defeated sooner compared to the second round. Following the victorious match, Madeline was on cloud 9. Aunt Madeline, I noticed that supporting characters suit you the best. You're very talented in that aspect, Archie pointed out thoughtfully. That's right. Your move earlier was crucial. I initially thought our opponents would become more powerful in the third round, but I didn't expect our damage rate to soar like that when you began assisting us. It allowed us to win faster. Benny exclaimed, showering Madeline with praises. Madeline was elated. After all, it was not every day that she received praise from these 2 boys. Meanwhile, their opponents stayed silent for a long time after the crushing defeat. Madeline wasn't sure if they were conversing among themselves as they hadn't quit the game yet. Sometime later, the deep and attractive voice of a man sounded. Could your godsons be those 2 boys from the Farwell family? If they are, I gladly accept defeat. Is my guess correct? Madeline didn't want the kids' information to be leaked on the internet. As such, she shot them a look and shook her head before saying, Don't answer him. You don't need to give an explanation. I had a lot of fun tonight, so let's end it here. The brothers nodded and proceeded to quit the game. You did great today, Aunt Madeline. Your performance is several times better than before, Benny praised. A fuzzy feeling filled Madeline when she heard the boy's sweet words. On the other hand, Archie, who was more like Lucian, was seemingly deep in thought with a slight frown marring his brows. After about 10 seconds, he said to Madeline, Aunt Madeline, you should practice using support characters in the future. It'd be better if you could become more deft when repositioning yourself. Thinking that his words made sense, Madeline nodded her head in response. These two brats are at the top of their field no matter what games they play. It was 9 o'clock in the evening when Lorraine brought Estella downstairs along with a scented sachet that the girl had sewn for the first time. With a serious expression on her face, Estella uttered, Aunt Madeline, this scented sachet's for you. If you have a favorite flower, you can sun-dry it and put it in. I'm sure it'll smell good. Madeline took the scented sachet and nodded gratefully. You're amazing, Essie. I can't believe you're able to sew such a beautiful pattern on your first try. Just like your brothers, you have exceptional talent. Upon saying that, she scooped Estella into her arms and gave the girl a peck on the cheek. Looking at the three kids, Lorraine couldn't stop smiling. She felt envious of Sonia and Elias for having such wonderful grandchildren. She muttered, Maddie, when do you think I could have? Before she could finish her sentence, her daughter cut her off. Stop it right there, Mom. You really need to stop nagging me every time you see the kids. I, too, would love to have kids, but it's not like I have anyone to have them with, you know. Sensing that her mother was about to start nagging again, Madeline quickly took the kids and left, preparing to drive them back home. To reward the kids, she stopped by a dessert shop and bought all of them some ice cream. Taking big bites of her ice cream, Madeline made sure to remind the kids, don't tell your parents about this, got it? Otherwise, there won't be any ice cream for you next time. In response, the trio agreed to it heartily with bright smiles on their faces. They were well aware that betraying their godmother would mean missing out on many delicious treats in the future. After finishing their cold dessert, Madeline leisurely drove the kids home and chatted with them along the way until they arrived at the Farwell residence. Mr. Farwell, all three kids are safely and soundly back home, reported Madeline. Lucian nodded and urged the kids to head upstairs, for their mother was already waiting for them to get in the bath. Waving goodbye to Lucian, Madeline got in her car swiftly and drove off before the former could react. Lucian was just about to tell her that Jonathan was in the living room, sipping on some coffee while reporting his work. And here I was thinking of creating an opportunity for the two of them to interact with each other. Upon driving out of the manor, Madeline could feel complex emotions swirling about in her heart. Naturally, she had seen Jonathan's car. However, for some reason, she felt a bit apprehensive about seeing him lately. What is going on with me? Ever since the incident with Coralie, Madeline realized that her feelings toward Jonathan seemed to have changed. She mulled over her feelings for a while and still couldn't seem to figure it out. Forget it. I should just go home and get back to playing the game. According to Archie and Benny, I should practice using support characters. Ugh. It's really distressing that I wasn't able to get my rank up for several seasons now. Meanwhile, Lucian had just returned to the living room, only to see Jonathan busy checking the financial statements. Jonathan, didn't you notice that Madeline was here earlier? Lucian asked curiously. Is she? Why didn't she come in then? Jonathan's attention was immediately distracted from work. He stood up and looked outside. Lucian shook his head, indicating that he had no idea what was on Madeline's mind. After pondering for a moment, Jonathan's face fell, and he murmured, Does she not want to see me? When Madeline arrived home, she was worried that Lorraine would start nagging again, so she quickly fetched a wooden tub and filled it with water before chucking in some powder that was made of medicinal herbs that were given to her by Jonathan previously. Subsequently, she presented the tub to her mother and urged her to soak her feet in it. Mom, you should close your eyes and relax, Madeline said. I almost let it slip that it would be even better if she shuts her mouth, too. Seeing how attentive her daughter was and the bright smile on her face, Lorraine decided not to nag anymore. Instead, she relaxed and quietly enjoyed the herbal foot soak. Soon after, Madeline turned on her phone and logged into the game, prepared to start another battle. However, upon entering the game, a private message from Ocean Blue popped up. The text read, Jenny, if I'm not mistaken, you must be Madeline Zander, right? Madeline was stunned for a few seconds. Who is this person exactly? How did he know my name? He even guessed Archie's and Benny's identities correctly. Could he be someone I know? Madeline searched through her memories and came to the realization that she didn't have many male friends. In the end, she was left stumped. Ocean Blue probably noticed she was online and sent her a smiling emoji. He then asked, Hey, Jenny, let's go for another round, shall we? Are there no teammates to help you this time around? Madeline furrowed her brows at that and her expression turned grim. She texted her response, Who the hell are you? How did you know who I am? Is my phone infected with a virus? Ocean Blue. If you'd like to know who I am, what do you say we have lunch together tomorrow? The message was followed by another emoji with a cheeky smile on its face, making it obvious that the other party had a habit of using emojis. Madeline felt uncomfortable upon seeing that emoji. She replied, I'm not too interested in knowing who you are. In fact, I think it's best that I avoid people like you who like to pry into others' privacy. Anyway, I'm going to play the game now, so stop bothering me. With that, she chose her character and joined a team with other randomly matched players. As fate would have it, however, she soon saw Ocean Blue in the opposing team when she entered the game. What kind of cruel coincidence is this? Subsequently, Ocean Blue sent a message in the in-game chat box. Hey team, the one named Jenny on the opposing side is my girlfriend. She's not very skilled, so I hope you guys will show her some mercy. Madeline felt like throwing up when she saw the message. Is this guy crazy or something? She immediately initiated a voice chat and explained to both her allies and enemies, Hey, don't listen to his nonsensical words. I'm not his girlfriend, and I have no idea who he is. Are you out of your mind, Ocean Blue? I bet you're used to deceiving women with this kind of shoddy tactic, huh? With how odd the whole situation was, a heated discussion soon started between players from both sides. Are the two of you having a lover's spat? Oh, what's going on? If you guys really are a couple, could you quit the team? We're here to play the game, not witness any public displays of affection. Hey, Jenny, I'm sure Ocean Blue's a rich heir. I mean, just look at his collection of skins. I wonder who he is in real life. You have a really nice voice, Jenny. If you're not Ocean Blue's girlfriend, I wonder if I can have a chance to get to know you. Enraged, Madeline quit the game right away. Noticing the odd look on her daughter's face, Lorraine hurriedly asked, Hey, what's wrong, Maddie? Aren't you in the middle of playing your game? What got you so angry? Madeline gradually calmed down. I'm fine, Mom. Soon, she logged back into the game and reported Ocean Blue for suspected cheating, insulting women, and other violations.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.